Good morning, grade 5. Let's complete the lesson that we take before, and it was about the circulatory system. We said before that our circulatory system consists of the heart, the blood vessels, and the blood. First, the heart. We said our heart consists of 4 chambers or 4 rooms. We have 2 upper atria and 2 lower ventricles. And between each atrium and ventricle, we have a valve. This valve allows the blood to move from the atrium to ventricle and prevent its returning back. And between the right side and the left side, we have what? We have a wall, or we call it septum. Why we have this wall or this septum? To prevent mixing of blood. What's mean prevent mixing of the blood? It means that our right side has or carry deoxygenated blood, which means blood with carbon dioxide, but the left side carry oxygenated blood, which means blood with oxygen. So we have this wall or this septum to prevent mixing of both blood. After the heart, we have the blood vessels. We said in the blood vessels, we have 3 types. First, the blood vessels mean what? Mean a small tubes or a pipeline where the blood will move through it. We have 3 types of these blood vessels, which are the arteries, the veins, and the blood capillaries. The arteries, like the aorta or the pulmonary artery, they coming out from the heart, especially from the ventricles, and they carry the blood from the heart to all the body parts. They all carry oxygenated blood, except the pulmonary artery that carry deoxygenated blood. They are thick at the beginning, then become smaller, and end with the blood capillaries. The veins. The veins, they open in the heart. It's like the pulmonary vein and superior and inferior vena cava. They will carry the blood from all the body cells and give it to the heart, especially in the atrium. And they all carry deoxygenated blood except the pulmonary vein that carry oxygenated blood. They begin with the blood capillaries and then become larger. So this means that the blood capillaries connect between the end of the arteries and the beginning of the veins. And these blood vessels have a very thin wall. Why they must have a thin wall? To deliver the digested food and oxygen to all the body cells and carry the carbon dioxide and wastes out of the body cells. Then we have the blood. The blood is a red liquid that will pass through the blood vessels. So our blood is, as we know, it's a red liquid and it will pass inside the blood vessels. Our blood consists of 4 components. It's not only 1, no, it's 4. What we can find inside our blood? We can find the red blood cells, or we call it RBCs, the white blood cells, or WBCs, the blood platelets, and the plasma. So our blood has 4 components, which are, again, red blood cells, or the short word is RBCs, white blood cells, or WBCs, the blood platelets, and the plasma. Let's see each component. First, the red blood cells. As you see here, the red blood cells, they are red cells. They are cells with the red color, but the cells are without nuclei. If you remember in grade 4, you take before that any cell has a nuclei or a nucleus, but the red blood cells are red cells without nuclei. What are the functions of the red blood cells, or why we have these red blood cells inside our blood, or why it's important? First, It carries the oxygen from the lungs when we breathe and give it to all the body cells. And when it returns, it will carry the carbon dioxide from all the body cells to give it to the lung to get it outside through breathing out. So the red blood cells, it carry what? Carry the gases. It will carry the oxygen from the lungs to all the body cells and then carry the carbon dioxide that's found inside our body to the lungs to get it outside through breathing out process. Then we have the white blood cells. The white blood cells are cells with a white color, so they are white cells, but this with different forms of nuclei. It has a different nuclei. So again, the white blood cells are white cells with different types of nuclei. We call this white blood cells is like the army of the body. Why we call it this? Because it defends the body against the microbes. If there is any microbes that will attacking my body, so the white blood cells will defend my body against this microbe. So the white blood cells are very, very important for us. They are first white cells with different types of nuclei, and it defends our body against microbe. If any microbe enter my body, so the white cells will go toward it and defend our body against it. The blood platelets. The blood platelets are small cell fragments or small cell parts. They are very small parts of the cells. Okay, so the blood platelets are small cell parts. They are very small. And they are very important also. Why they are very important? First, they help in the coagulation of blood or formation of blood clots. What's mean by helping coagulation of blood or formation of blood clot? Look, if your body is wounded, so we have some bleeding. Is this bleeding is completed without stop? Or after a while it will stop? Yes, after a while it stops. Why it stops? It stops because the blood forms something called blood clots or coagulation of blood. So if we don't have the blood platelets inside our blood, we will still continue bleeding without any stop. So the blood platelets are very important. Why they are very important? Because they help in the coagulation of blood or formation of blood clots. When we have, when the blood is coagulated, so this will help in what? In healing our wounds. So when our body is wounded and the blood is exposed to the air, the blood platelets prevent bleeding and heal the wounds. The last one is the plasma. The plasma, as you can see here in this picture, is this yellow liquid part. So the plasma, it's a yellow watery fluid in which all the blood components are suspended. So the plasma is like a yellowish water where the red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets are suspended inside it or are spread inside it. And the plasma is what give our blood the fluid form or the liquid form. So our blood is liquid because of the what? Because of the plasma. Why it's liquid? Because of the plasma. Because the plasma is a yellow watery fluid. Okay, so again, the plasma is what? Is a yellow watery fluid where all the blood components, which are the red blood cells, white blood cells, and the platelets, are suspended in it. Okay, what is the functions of this plasma? The plasma will carry the digested food to all the body cells and carry the harmful wastes that's formed inside the cell to another cell to get rid of them. So the plasma will transport also, or will carry, but will carry what? Will carry the digested food to the cell and carry the wastes from the cell to another cell to get rid of them. So the red blood cells carry the oxygen from the cells carry the oxygen from the lungs to the cells and carry the carbon dioxide from the cells to the lung. But the plasma carry the digested food to the cells and carry the wastes from the cell to another cell to get rid of them. And then we have the white blood cells that defend our body against the microbes. It's very important. It's our army. And the blood platelets that help in the coagulation of blood or forming of the blood clots that help in healing wounds. So, those are the functions of each part of the blood. But if I told you what is the function of the blood in general, so we will say all these functions together. So, the functions of the blood is what? Is to transfer the materials. It will transfer or deliver what? If you remember, we said that the red blood cells carry the oxygen and the carbon dioxide, and the plasma transports the digested food or vitamins and salts, and also the harmful wastes produced in the cell. The second function is to defense and protection of the body. We said that the white blood cells will attack the microbes that cause diseases to the human, and the blood platelets help in healing wounds. And the last one is that the blood keeps the temperature of the body constant. You know that the normal temperature of the human body is 37. So one of the functions of the blood is to keep the temperature of the body constant all the time. Okay? So again, the function of the blood, we have a transfer and a defense. The transfer is that the red blood cells will carry the oxygen and carbon dioxide, the plasma will transport or will carry the digested food, the vitamins and salts, and also the harmful wastes. The defense, that the white blood cells will defend our body against microbes, and that the blood platelets will help in healing wounds or formation of blood clots. And the last thing is that the blood keeps the temperature of the body constant. Okay, I'm having here a give reason. If he told me the blood platelets are very important, so we say the function of the blood platelets, because they help in the coagulation of blood when the body is wounded, and you can complete that it helps in healing wounds. The blood is in a fluid form or a liquid form, as I told you before. This is due to the presence of what? Of a plasma, and this plasma, it's a what? It's a yellow watery fluid. Then we have the path of the blood through our heart, or how the blood will move inside our heart to go to our body, to go all over our body. First, the blood will come First, the blood will come from all our body parts. It will come from all our body parts carrying what? Carrying deoxygenated blood. So the blood will carry all the carbon dioxide, which is a waste, from all my body cells, and then it will enter my heart through the superior and inferior vena cava. Through the superior and inferior vena cava. So the deoxygenated blood, or the blood with carbon dioxide, will enter my heart through the superior and inferior vena cava. So from the superior and inferior vena cava, it will enter in the what? In the right atrium. And from the right atrium, it will enter to the right ventricle. Through the what? Through the right valve. We have a valve here. So again, the blood collects the carbon dioxide, which Oasis produced inside the body cells. And then it will enter my heart through the superior and inferior vena cava to the right atrium, and from the right atrium to the right ventricle through the right valve. And then the right ventricle will push the blood to the pulmonary artery. Again, so we have here deoxygenated blood that the right ventricle will push it to the pulmonary artery. The word pulmonary means that is related to the lungs, that is attached to the lungs. So now the deoxygenated blood or the blood with carbon dioxide will go from the pulmonary artery to the lungs. So the lungs now carry the what? Carry the carbon dioxide. If we remember in grade 4 that we said in the lungs there is something called air sacs called alveoli, where the gas exchange occur as the blood will leave the carbon dioxide and will carry the oxygen instead of it. So again, our body will collect the carbon dioxide. Our blood will carry the carbon dioxide and will deliver it to the heart through the superior and inferior vena cava. So the superior and inferior vena cava will carry the deoxygenated blood and give it to the right atrium, and from the right atrium to the right ventricle. And then the right ventricle will push the deoxygenated blood to the pulmonary artery, and the pulmonary artery will give the blood to the lungs. What will happen in the lungs? In the lungs will happen an exchange of gas. The blood will leave the carbon dioxide to go outside my body in breathing out process or expiration process, and it will carry the oxygenated blood. So now the blood leave the carbon dioxide and take what? Take the oxygen. So now our blood is what? Is oxygenated, not deoxygenated. Again, our blood now is oxygenated as it carry oxygen. So our blood will return back to the heart through the pulmonary vein. So the lungs will deliver the blood or the oxygenated blood again to the heart through the pulmonary vein. And from the pulmonary vein, it will give it to the left atrium. And from the left atrium to the left ventricle. And then the left ventricle will push the blood to the aorta. Again, in the lungs, there is an exchange of gas as the blood leaves the carbon dioxide and carry the oxygen. So now the blood is oxygenated and it will return back to the heart through the pulmonary veins. Give it to the left atrium, and from the left atrium to the left ventricle through the left valve, and then the left ventricle will push the blood and give it to the aorta. And then the aorta deliver the oxygenated blood to all our body parts. So let's say it again. Let's remember, in the right side of the heart we have deoxygenated blood, and in the left side we have oxygenated blood. So again, the blood collects the carbon dioxide from all our body, and then it will enter the heart through the superior and inferior vena cava. The superior and inferior vena cava will deliver the deoxygenated blood to the right atrium, and from the right atrium to the right ventricle through the right valve. And then the right ventricle will push the blood to the pulmonary artery to deliver to the lungs. So the right ventricle push the blood to the pulmonary artery to go to the lungs. And then in the lungs, there is a gas exchange will occur where the blood leaves the carbon dioxide and will carry the oxygen. So our blood now is oxygenated. This oxygenated blood will return back to the heart through the pulmonary vein. From the pulmonary vein to the left atrium, and from the left atrium to the left ventricle. And then the left ventricle will push the blood to the aorta that will deliver the blood to all, or the oxygenated blood to all our body cells. Okay, so again, as you see here, all body cells, we will carry the carbon dioxide that will enter through the vena cava to the right atrium. Then through the valve, it will go to the right ventricle that will push the blood to the pulmonary artery, and the deoxygenated blood will come to the lungs. In the lungs, we said there is gas exchange, so our blood now come oxygenated blood, and it will enter the heart through the pulmonary veins to the left atrium. From the left atrium through the valve, it will enter to the left ventricle, and then the left ventricle will push it to the aorta, and the aorta will deliver oxygenated blood to all the body cells. And when it will deliver the oxygen, it will collect the carbon dioxide, and it will do this cycle again. Okay, understand the path of the blood through all our body? Okay, if I told you that the wall of the left ventricle is more thicker than the right ventricle, let's see it in this picture. Look, the wall of the left ventricle is thicker than the wall of the right ventricle. Why? Because when the right ventricle push the blood, it will give it to the what? From the pulmonary artery to the lungs only. But when the left ventricle will contract and will push the blood, it will push the blood through the aorta to all body. So the left ventricle has a thicker wall because when it contracts, it must push the blood to all the body parts. But the right ventricle the wall is a little thicker than the left one. Why? Because it will push the blood only to the lungs. So when it asks me give reason, the wall of the left ventricle is more thicker than the right ventricle. So we said because the left ventricle pumps the blood to all the body cells, while the right ventricle will pump the blood to the lungs only. Okay. If you measured your heartbeats, like you see in this picture, you found that the number of heartbeats is about 70 beats per minute. So in 1 minute, we have 70 beats. But if you are doing any activity, or you are practicing sport, or you exercise, you run, you walk, the number of heartbeats will increase or decrease? Very good. The number of heartbeat will increase. So the rate of our heartbeat increases during exercising. Why it increasing? To supply the body with the oxygen and digested food that are needed to produce more energy. So the number of heartbeats increase, so the blood will deliver more oxygen and more digested food to our cells, so it can get the energy. So if I told you give reason why during exercising the number of heartbeats increases, we said why to give the cells or to supply the body cells with oxygen and digested food to produce energy. The last thing is how to maintain our circulatory system healthy, or how we can keep our circulatory system healthy. First, we have to keep exercising. Why we have to keep exercising, or give reason we must keep exercising? So, because exercising strengthens the heart muscle, or made our heart muscle more strong. And that will activate our blood circulation. It will let our blood circulation move faster. As we said, when you exercise, so you will deliver more oxygen and digested food, so this makes an activation for our blood circulation. So again, we have to keep exercising. Why we have to keep exercising, or give reason we have to keep exercising? We said to strengthen the heart muscle, to activate the blood circulation, and to keep our circulatory system healthy. Again, to strengthen the heart muscle, to activate the blood circulation, and to keep our circulatory system healthy. Number 2, we have to eat healthy and balanced food that is low in the fat and the salt. So our food must be healthy and must be low in fat and salt. Number 3, eat more fresh and clean vegetables and fruits. Our food must contain a lot of vegetables and fruits, and for sure they must be fresh and clean. Number 4, drink a suitable amount of clean water every day, especially in summer. You know that we must drink at least 8 cups per day. So we have to drink a suitable amount of clean water, especially in summer. Why we have to do this? To keep our circulatory system. So if I told you, give reason why we have to eat balanced food low in fat and salts, or why we have to eat fresh and clean vegetables, why we have to drink a suitable amount of water, we said to keep our circulatory system healthy. Number 5, you must avoid exposure to infection and accidents. You must take care to not be infected or having accident. But if you are wounded, what we have to do? First, you have to try to stop your bleeding. So first, we have to try to stop our bleeding. Number 2, you have to clean the wound and then treat it. So if I'm wounded, what I have to do? First, you have to try to stop your bleeding. Then clean your wound, and then you have to treat it. The last thing that we have to avoid smoking and smokers. Not to smoke and not being with smokers. Because even if you are not a smoker, but you are staying with someone who smokes, so this harm the heart, it harm our heart, and make a weakness for our blood circulation. So this is the opposite of exercising. So if you are a smoker or you are being with smokers, we called it passive smoker. Passive smokers mean you are not a smoker, but you are staying with someone who smokes. This causes what? This harms the heart and weakens the blood circulation. It makes it more weak. So if at all to give reason, we must avoid smoking. We said to keep our circulatory system healthy. And because the smoking harms the heart and weakens the blood circulation. Now we finish our circulatory system. I hope that you understand this lesson. Please try to do your worksheet and homework sheet about this lesson. Thank you. Bye.